Hey, you guys. So, welcome to another episode of The Journey. Today, I have a guest with me who is Anthony. And Anthony is going to help me kind of discuss balanced parenting roles. So, in this discussion on this podcast, we're kind of going to talk about how mother and fathers, when it comes to children's, how they sometimes or most of the times don't have equal rights when it comes to caring for the children, taking care of the children, responsibilities, just challenges, and then we're gonna also kind of share our real life stories, things we have been through, from his male perspective, and then I'll talk about how it is being a female, having children, and just some things I have experienced throughout my life having kids and their father being a part of life and how that went without giving too much information until we actually touch on that point. So, Anthony, just say hey to everyone.
Hello, hello, hello.
So yeah, Anthony, I feel so bad for Anthony. And Anthony, thank you again for jumping on because he worked third shift and he only got what, like 2.5 hours of sleep? You didn't even get that
Yeah,
much,
about
did
that.
you? Yeah, so
Yeah.
no, but I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. But yeah, we're gonna jump right in. So I was telling Anthony this the other day, and I was just kind of discussing with him how when it comes to children, how I feel like mothers and fathers don't have the same rights. I feel like if the child stays with their mother, I feel like she has more of the say so than the father does, as far as if she doesn't like something that the father do or disagree or don't approve of something, she feel like she has more power to keep that child away from that father. And I told him I feel that that's not fair. um but that also comes with maturity, growth, and healing, because I feel like as a mother, when you when you have your kids, yes, you raise them. And there are some fathers out there that shares the same, they're in the home with them. And I don't know how it is. So maybe Anthony can touch on that a little more because you were married, you were in the same household with your daughter. So his experience is different from mine. So he can kind of share his story and I'll tell mine. But my experience is I wasn't too much there in the same household, so it was a little different because we was living in different households. So yeah, um, but I just kind of want to discuss the importance of balanced parents' roles and how share responsibility, how it benefits the children's development. But before we get into that, I just want to ask Anthony, do you want to dive into your story a little bit?
Yeah. So I was in the same household. I was married. I think until my daughter was around 9 or 10 when we separated. So yeah, she got like 9 years with me under the same roof.
Okay. So let me ask you this. When you guys were in the same household, do you feel like at that time that you had like the same rights to tell your daughter something that the mother did?
No, no.
Oh, okay. And why do you feel that way? Like, what example can you give us that you felt like even though you were in the same household and you still wasn't able to, I don't know, maybe, I ain't gonna say discipline, but just kind of have a say so in your daughter's life as her mother did?
Mm. I would say no. I would say a lot of it was and some of it was discipline, but a lot of it was in the direction that I wanted my child to go.
Mm,
Um, I think there was a difference in parenting styles with us.
okay.
A lot was, how I was raised, the things that I was exposed to positively, when I was a child,
Hmm.
versus the things that she was exposed to when she was a child, and we were both trying to kind of implement two different things in our child's life, and it clashed sometimes.
Let me ask you this. Before you guys did have children, is this parenting? Is that something you guys talked about? How you wanted your children raised, or you just kind of just
Mm,
went with the flow?
no, no, we were, we were pretty young. No,
Yeah.
we weren't talking about that.
Okay. Do you think that makes a difference in how the child, their upbringing, and people clashing because you're not on the same page and you don't have an understanding of which direction you want your child to go in, or this is the way I want my child raised, and you think that makes a difference? Not not discussing it.
I do. I do. I think it does. I like to think that children, I think they probably see a lot and understand a lot more than what they, let on. And I think that if the two parents are not on the same page, they're going to see that. And I think it probably opens a door for maybe a little bit of manipulation by
Mm.
the child, you know what I mean, to
Oh yes,
play the one parent against the other.
definitely, definitely.
But if you're not on the same team, and I've seen the way it works the right way, with a certain aunt and uncle, and they would always have discussions behind closed doors, and
Mm-hmm,
come to an agreement about the children,
mm-hmm.
and so that they were a united front. You know what I mean? When they did step out of that room and went to their children, and so there was no foothold there for the child to get in and manipulate or
Yeah,
you know
I was raised that way. Well, not in my household, but within the family. I've always heard and seen. They say you don't discuss things in front of the children. When grown people are talking, go into the other room. You know what I'm saying? Because kids are like sponges. They take in everything, and that's kind of how they learn from their environment. So I feel like parents should not include children into what's going on, when it comes to them or all that stuff like that. Because when you do include the kids know everything that's going on. Like, oh, well, I know their weakest point, I know where I can get over with this person, or I can say this and use that against them. That's why you don't discuss a lot of stuff in front of children, because they will use it against you. So I just feel like as parents, you definitely have to talk. Not around the children, going into another room or talking on the phone when the children are not around, because they use a lot of that against you. Me, for example, I know that I was younger. Like now, I feel like I'm more healed, and there are still things I'm working on. I'm going to continue to work on. But having children young, I feel like there are, like in the back of my head, there were some things I did not want to discuss in front of the children, but that other person did. And that would frustrate me. It would frustrate me to the point where there's only so much I can hold in. Now I'm mad because you're discussing stuff and the children right here. So now they finna see the bad side of me. As I can only take so much. Now you finna see me get angry and upset. Now I'm finna, kind of call you this and call you that. And that's still not right. I somewhat knew that then, but it's just that I could care less then. So I let a lot of stuff out. And I look at it now and I'm just like, I really feel bad. It was like so much stuff I really wish I could have changed. First of all, one thing I wish I could have changed is being married, but being married to the right person, that makes a
Mhm.
difference too. Because when you are having kids with people that God did not ordain you to have children, you can have a lot of problems. And I think that comes with a lot of confusions and frustration, being with someone that you don't really care to be with, but you have children with them, so you're trying to make it somewhat work. And
Right.
I think that causes a lot of problems. And sometimes we end up staying in those situations longer than we want to. And our kids see us unhappy, so they will see a lot of more negative than positive because we're in a situation we're not happy being in. And the kids see that, And I've heard people say, oh, I'm staying together for the kids, but it's like, are you happy? Well, the Bible says this, but the Bible also says that. So it's just like you hear a lot of different stuff and it just confuses you, and you don't know where to go, which way to turn because you're just all confused. But, that's why the Bible says you should be married. But, some people get married because they do think they're in love. They're young and stuff. And whatever that situation, that's for a whole nother topic, but still. So, but yeah, it's just, man, it's thunder. Yeah, yeah. So, what I was gonna say. So I just feel like, although some people are married and they have children in the household, you still have some people that are not married, and the mother has the role So, how do you feel it was once you guys separated? She has your daughter, and you're seeing your daughter here and there. When it came to maybe getting your daughter, taking her out to do things, do you feel like you at that time? Do you feel like you were able to pick her up and take her out when you wanted to, or did you have to go through the mother? Or and how did things go when your daughter didn't agree with certain things you done, and she might have told
Mm-hmm.
her mother about it? And was there ever a
Right.
situation
Right.
where she said, "No, you're not going to see her," or
Yeah. So let me tell you. So okay. So they're in our divorce agreement, and this may not be for everybody. I didn't have full, or I'm sorry, shared custody. She had full custody, and I had visitation. And I guess that was a thing in the county where I divorced. Like that was what the judge preferred for the fathers,
mm,
especially the fathers who worked odd hours and couldn't take their kid to school. I guess.
mm,
Um, but I don't think. And now, for some people, that may be something that the parent can hold over the other's head. Sure, she's done that to me a couple times. But what was I going with this?
you some of the I was
Yeah.
trying not to laugh.
So no. So she, but outside of that, she would leave it pretty open for me to get my daughter whenever I wanted. Okay, there was a written agreement, and then there was like, hey, we can just do this however, unless I made her mad or did something she didn't approve of. The other part of that is whenever I did get my daughter, I had to go through this like. Uh, um, I had to explain to her what the whole plan of the day was, the plan of the weekend, where we was going. And then she would blow my phone up and check on my daughter,
Mm,
right? All the time. So that was kind of intrusive. But if there was anything that I was doing that she didn't approve of, she was going to let me know and she was going to blow my phone up.
mm,
Um, and then after a while, I was like, okay, yeah, we're not going to do this because I don't call you. I just trust that whatever's going on over there, my daughter's safe. She's fine.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So don't do that to me. Well, then what will happen is I'll just stop answering the phone. But at this time, my daughter, she had a phone.
Right, right,
And she just knows better than to not answer her mom's call. You know what I mean?
right, right.
Um, so that happens. Um, Whenever there was something that I wanted to do with my daughter, God forbid I take her out of town, I had to let her know where we were staying, let her know when we
Mm-hmm.
were leaving, let her know who she was going to be around. Yeah, it was pretty exhausting.
Hmm.
So it was almost like she was there all the time. And if she wasn't in the loop on every move we made, then it was going to be a problem. And if it wasn't a problem for me, I'd just ignore it.
Right,
Then it was definitely a problem for my kid. She'd be calling her phone and she would let her know whenever she got back. You know what I mean?
right. How did that really make you feel as a father, knowing that your daughter is there and that's your daughter too? How did it feel that
Uh,
she's always calling and you're over here trying to spend some time with your child and she has her all the time?
like there was no trust, like
Mm-hmm.
I was a child or something, like hold on a minute, I'm
Right,
a grown adult. I'm not gonna put my child in harm's way. You know what I mean?
right, right, right. Has there ever been a situation, because of course you're a single guy now and of course you dated, has there ever been a situation where, because I don't know how your relationship is, has there ever been a situation where your daughter has been around somebody you have talked to and maybe the mother didn't care for it and she tried to, like, I don't know. How's that situation ever played out? Or have you ever been in that type of situation where it's been a problem?
No, I think my daughter was quite older.
Okay.
Um, she was probably 14,
Okay.
13, 14.
Okay.
She was older whenever I had her around anybody, I think.
Okay.
And either she didn't tell her mom, or her
Gotcha.
mom didn't care, I imagine.
Right, right. So was her mom just more focused on the child and where she was?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But oddly enough, she always had a problem when I would take my daughter around family, and that was strange. But it
Ah.
was always strange. But it was always strange when we were married too. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like
So she was
she
just
was
kind of that type of person
she
anyway.
was a homebody, and yeah, and she didn't want to be around all kinds of people. Yeah,
So
I
she
dealt with
kind
the
of, hmm.
projection. Projection was a big problem, I think.
And that's why I say I feel like, and not your situation, but like just in general, I feel like when we have kids, especially early or whatever, and it's going to happen when people get older too, but you would think by that age people would know better, but age has nothing to do with it. You would think that you would have an understanding of, your children and the other person's family. Yes, we do have kids by people and we don't really care for their family members, but that's what you signed up for. The thing is, because I didn't care for some family members that my kids are around. I'm like, ugh. Like, ugh, they gotta be around them. I'm like, but that is their family. So it's just like I can't keep them from them, but all I can do is teach them right from wrong. The thing is, you like throughout life, they're gonna be around people, and this, not just even family, but in general, in the public, in school systems, throughout life, like working. And as you know, as they get older and stuff, they're going to be around different people. So I think, honestly, I look at it as like an experience to get to know how different people operate. But let me also teach you right from wrong. Go ahead and explore, but don't explore too much if it's not healthy for you, because we're going to sit here and I'm going to ask you, how was your day? Who were you around? How that work? I've learned you can't sit there and bash the other person because you don't know what that person been through in life and why they're in the situation they are, or whatever it is. All you can do is focus on your child and just try to teach them right from wrong. Don't sit there and bash other people's family because your family isn't perfect either. Just because you look perfect on the outside, I mean you're perfect on the inside. Because a lot of people hide a lot of things. We just know how to hide it well. So yes, we want to monitor who our children are around, but at the same time, we have to let them live, and all we can do is just teach them and talk to them and have that open communication. As far as the other father, yes, there have been times where I didn't want my kids around, certain family members and stuff like that. But hey, this is who I chose to have kids by. So I can't sit here and bash this person and put them down, because the same thing could happen to me. I'm not 100% everything God wants me to be. We all are a work in progress, and that's what it is. So I don't know, but yeah, as far as the legal part of things, I feel like the judge. I don't know what the judge looks at because I'm not a judge, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know what they look at. I do feel that both parents should have equal rights. I feel like unless there's a history of something that they are neglecting the child or putting the child in harm's way, maybe the judge can look at that. Maybe supervised visits, depends on how extreme it is. But I feel like the parents should have equal rights. There has been times where I was younger in my 20s or whatever, and I've got mad at the other party, and I didn't want my kids around them. I'm like, oh, you're not getting the kids this weekend because I feel some type of way, and that's not fair. I didn't care at that time. I didn't know any better at that time, and there were certain people that told me that's not right. I never, when they were younger, I would say, yeah, when they was like toddlers and maybe 7, 8 years old, I would call and check on them, see how they doing. But I was never the type that always call and call and call. I would call and check on them and, just see how they're doing and all this stuff like that. But I never, was like because I have my own life going on. I feel like if you're busy and you're occupied, you ain't got time to sit here and constantly call the other person, because they didn't do me like that for real. So, and then, but now my kids are older, except for the youngest one or whatever. But now my kids are older. I don't call, and they have their own cell phone. So I feel like if you want to know something, call them. But if I feel like their father is, that's his time, I'm not going to call them because the kids are with me all the time. So what am I gonna keep calling them and bugging them? I know they're good. They're not, otherwise if you fear that your child isn't being properly cared for, you should have thought about who you have this child with, or you take that up with the courts. But we can't take things into our own hands because we feel some type of way. That's not fair. Because if it was the other way around, and the father has the kids, and he calling us on the weekends, I'ma definitely feel some type of way. I'm like, dang, you had the kids all week. Why is you calling me? Like, this is the time for my kids. Like, I feel like we can't have that special bonding time because you're always butting in. So I feel like mothers have to look at that side. And, as a mother, I feel like sometimes we don't. We get in our feelings, especially the young generation. I feel like
But
they
I think a lot of mothers too. They I'm sorry.
Mhm.
They kind of make their children their whole world,
Yeah.
and so then when they're not with their kids, I think they probably don't know what to do with themselves, and that's a problem.
I think
You know
that
what I mean?
I think that does have something to do with it, and that's why people need to stay occupied, not just working. Pick up a hobby, hang out with some friends, do something, because you have to understand these children have their own life. They have to experience life for themselves, and you can't sit here and smother them, and you can't make them into you, maybe because it's something you missed out on, and you trying to make them what you wanted to be or whatever. Um, but I feel like yes, you could teach them, but let these kids live. We can't smother these kids. You have to let them experience life. I just feel like, yeah, I would probably say yes from a woman's point of view. I would say that sometimes we do smother them a little bit. But by me having boys, it may be different. I think it really depends because honestly, I feel like raising boys and girls ain't no different. I feel like, it should be equal. But having boys, I want them to experience because I don't want to make my boys soft. I don't want to make them, I just, I don't know. I don't want to say weak, but I just want them to be able to experience life and enjoy life, to the fullness. Um, but I don't know, like everybody's experience is different, but I just know from a woman's point of view sometimes we smother them too much. I feel like, oh, that's still my baby. Yes, they could be our babies, but we can't sit here and treat them like kids. We can't sit here and take that away from their fathers because their father has the same equal rights as we do. It takes two to make a child. We didn't make this child by ourselves. And regardless of how you feel about the father, you can't sit here and say, oh, you're not going to the father's house, or no, you can't do this with him because I feel some type of way. You don't do that to a child because a child is going to remember that, and either um, they'll regret you when they're older, or they'll just that's how they'll go into their relationship because of what they've seen, and it's not healthy, and that's how so many toxic and unhealthy relationships are built because of the behaviors they've seen. They're learned from their mother and their father or their aunts or grandparents or whatever it is. I feel like those are learned behaviors, and that's how we carry on to our relationships of how we've seen the older generation dealing with theirs. And the thing is, if you don't want your child being a certain way, you have to change the way you are and the way you're talking to other people. So yeah, I don't know. So, do you feel like now that she's older, you think it's the same, or you feel like things have changed between you guys as far as when she comes out to visit?
Yeah, so the pressure is a little bit of
Okay.
instead of her mom checking on me or mom's.
Right, right. Come on down, Rain. Come on down.
What I see now, what my problem is, I think my daughter is naturally, I think, is a peacemaker.
She's a what?
She's a peacemaker.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's a problem because listen, you don't have to. Well, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, my screen went black. My bad.
Oh, you're good.
I just want to make sure. So yeah, I don't know. So she's older now, but what I see is she still is this word capitulates. You
Mm-hmm.
hear that a lot in politics. I don't know. I think she still capitulates to her mother. She kind of gives in and she acts a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of anticipating what her mom would say or think. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the problem is her mom is kind of an introvert. I'm not.
Right.
Her mom is kind of a homebody. I'm not, and anything that's kind of goes against that, I gotta fight. I gotta fight that with my kid. Yeah.
So let me ask you that. Do you feel like by you guys being kind of like opposites, her being more of a homebody, you being more outgoing, and do you feel like your daughter can still have both of those benefits from you guys? And if so, how is she able? You think that's something she'll learn on her own, or is that something you guys can sit down and talk to her and say, hey, although I'm this way, she's that way, there are things that we can both teach you?
Listen, I mean, my daughter, she's 19.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's pretty well ingrained in her uh, more. But her mom was,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't think it would take any talking to her about it, discussing with her. I think it would just be something she would find within herself. Hopefully, she has some friends that are more outgoing and because we've all seen this, right, in our own lives and in our children's. Like sometimes the parent tries to push you one way
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't stick. But man, if they got a friend, you know what I mean, that is it exhibits that behavior that you're trying to push on them. If they got a friend,
Mm-hmm.
that friend will take them, so much farther than you might, just
Yeah.
because they're more influential, I guess.
Right. Right.
So I think she'll find that on her own if she's got some friends, you know what I mean, depending on the friends she surrounds herself by. But
Got you. Got you. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I think that definitely makes a difference. People you surround yourself with definitely makes a difference. That's why I tell my kids I want to meet their friends. A lot of them I have met, gave rides to, and all that stuff. They come over to the house and stay the night. But it's just kind of just meeting their friends, kind of know what they're around, because especially if they have enough negative in their life, like or whatever. Sometimes they draw to that, so it's like, hold on, because I know I'm teaching you right. So let me see who you're around. Let me see where their head at. So yeah, I think it does make a difference. So yeah. Well, I think we can kind of wrap it up a little there, unless there's something you want to elaborate a little more on.
I mean, I got stories for days, but I don't know
Oh,
how much.
hey, we got time. I'm just no.
So look, look, look,
Uh huh.
look, look here. Check this out. Listen to
Okay.
this. So here's a little example. Okay, you got two parents.
Mhm.
Okay, because we just passed the Fourth of July. All right.
Mhm.
The mother doesn't like the Fourth of July. She doesn't like the loud boom. She doesn't, understand what the whole, what's the deal with, all the fireworks and the smelly smoke and the noise and all that. It's not her thing, right? It's not
Right.
her thing. She doesn't celebrate.
Right.
The father does.
Mhm.
The father is going to the fireworks store out of state, spending a couple grand or whatever,
Mhm.
on fireworks, and he's going to have a good time. Okay.
Right.
So then what do you do about the kids then? Because I
Oh.
seen a situation recently now, with two people that didn't live together, and
Mhm.
so the mother doesn't celebrate. So she took the kids with her, and they just didn't celebrate the Fourth of July. They didn't go to
Oh.
the fireworks show. They didn't do anything. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
the other one, we'll call the father figure, is looking around like, where did y'all go? Like,
That's
I got all these fireworks. We're gonna,
yeah.
I understand you don't want to do anything as a parent, whatever. That's fine. You go do your thing, but let me get these kids and we can go have a good time. See,
See, my thing with that, if the kids do want to celebrate, I feel like you should let them celebrate, because I feel like just because you don't want to do something, that's not fair to the kids. They're not going to get to experience everything, because unless you just don't believe in the 4th of July, period. That's different. Like, let's say in
right,
Christmas or
right,
whatever, and like, oh, I don't believe in Christmas. I don't believe in giving out presents. That's different. But if
right,
you just don't want to, because you don't want to, because of the loud sounds and stuff like that. And I know some people are like, oh, well, she the mother, you got to respect her wishes. No, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all, because I feel like you're keeping your kids from having fun, experiencing things, because they don't understand how these different experiences could lead to something later in life as a career. They may see something in that firework that we don't see. They may see
Right.
something
Right.
beyond that,
Right.
and
Yeah,
create
they might be
something big.
inspired.
Yes. And I feel like because of our ways and us being stuck in our own heads and stuff like that, because most people like that, they're going through something in life, whatever it may be. But most people are, especially if it's not like, oh, I'm against the 4th of July, I just don't want to do this, because I feel like when you're not going through something, regardless if you want to do it or not, you'll still let your kids have that fun. But I really hate that situation because I feel like the kids are being kept from things that, something that, they may find um, amazing that, the parent is keeping them from. And that's really sad because that happens in a lot of things, maybe a parent.
Yeah, I truly, yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. You want to talk about regret? Yeah, I have some regrets. Maybe I should have fought a little bit harder with my situation, my daughter, because uh, there is a lot of things that I think that she could have experienced, and
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean, that her mom kind of kept from. That's another issue that might fit here is the whole sheltering the child. I think you touched on a little bit, but
Yeah.
like I fight with my daughter's mom about this regular, and I get it, and I have a girl, okay, my daughter. So it may be a little bit different from your situation because you have boys, but
Right.
my daughter's old enough.
Right.
And if anything ever happens, we have a relationship, where she would tell, I mean, we have pretty good communication with her.
Right.
Um, but I am more the type to let her get out and experience the world, and I think it's healthy that she experience the world and experience everything that life brings. Her mom, absolutely not. She is totally, I'm going to cover you, I'm going to shelter you. Uh, God forbid any minor, and we're not talking about like anything crazy like you know uh, sexual or anything like that, or somebody
Right.
beating you up or anything. You know what I mean? I mean, we don't have to go to the extreme, but like there's been situations where my daughter is a little awkward, right? And I'm like, hey, well, you need to get out there because you're awkward in part because
Yeah.
oh boy, you know what I mean. You don't get out there. Listen, the gift of the gab is kind of like it's you have to practice. It's
Right.
something you get good at. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Connecting
Yeah.
with, and I've seen this with other kids where they are not around any other kids but themselves,
Mm-hmm.
their brothers and sisters, and maybe a few cousins, and that's
Mm,
it.
yeah.
When you take them to the park or something, they don't know how to act. They don't. They get some of them get anxiety or something, and they're
Yep.
like, "Oh, other kids here. I don't want to play. I don't want to be here. I don't want to play." Like, wait,
That's my youngest one.
what's going on here? And I feel like it's my situation.
Yeah.
Speaking about anybody else, but I feel like a lot of that is just yeah, you got to step out of your comfort zone. But I try to introduce those situations with my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Her mom doesn't like it at all because her mom is a homebody. Her mom's kind of an introvert,
Right.
so she pushes that kind of on her, and I'm trying to go the other way with it. And what sometimes happens is she'll get her mom to fight her battles.
Yeah.
That's another situation, yeah. And then she'll have her mom call me and say, "Well, your daughter, she said she didn't want to. Hold on, why am I hearing from you about this? You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? You guys already had a discussion, and okay, so I will call my daughter and say, well, listen, Dad, I don't want to go here, go there with you. It's going to be a little uncomfortable, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everything in life isn't comfortable. And I'm asking, you know what I mean?
I know
I
exactly what you mean.
went all over the place with that.
No, 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 because it just brought up. I'm thinking about how I was raised as a child. Uh, my dad, even though he was locked up for like 10 years, before he went in, and even after he got out, he was outgoing. He was outside all the time. My mom was an introvert; like she wanted to be in the house all the time, where she's at church. So my mom, though, because she was in the house all the time, if she wasn't working, it's like we couldn't go nowhere. We couldn't do anything. And I just remember my dad calling on the phone from jail, just say, "Won't you let them do stuff? You know, need to get out and do stuff. You know, or even just take them around my family." My mama never really, she never took us around his family. If they didn't see in Mississippi already around her family members, I didn't know his side of the family. And my mom would just, I mean, I would just tell the truth. She used to talk so bad about his side of the family to the fact that when I did kind of go around them, I thought that, you know, they was mean and evil because that's all she said about them. So
Right, right.
not until I got older that I realized that his family was not mean and evil. That's just they was serious, you know? That's really what it
Yeah,
was.
and listen, like, and you can really hinder your child's experience
Yep.
and their learning by shielding them from some of these things. And this is what I really try not to do. I mean, I want to watch from afar.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to kind of keep an eye on my kid from afar. But if there is, listen, everybody's different. And all these kids out here, they're different personalities, they're different demeanors. You know what I mean? Like, and I would rather just throw my daughter in the deep end, like, here you go, go learn these kids, you know what I mean? Go learn them, go, interact with them, and you're gonna have some pleasant experiences and some not so pleasant experiences. But I'm old school like that. Like, that's life, and I want to see you figure out how to navigate that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Navigate, this one kid who might be a little touch of a bully. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Or this other kid who might,
Makes you
exhibit a
stronger.
little bit like a jealousy or something. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yep.
I want you to experience all of that.
Yes. Hmm.
Not okay. Yeah, we don't like these kids. Are raised a little bit different. You know, let's not play with these kids over here. No, man, let
Right.
these kids figure that out and experience that.
Yeah, because
There's so much in life to learn that doesn't, that's not pleasant. I'm
yeah.
not saying I don't, want to protect my child. Like I said, I watch from afar. You know what I mean? But when a parent wants to shield their kid from a lot of this, like, I think it really stunts their growth. In my opinion, I'm not a psychologist or anything, but
No, I think it does because I just think about when they don't get to experience all the personalities of a child, they don't, they just, when they get older, they stay away from that. And that's not reality. I feel like the younger you are, you experience it, it makes you stronger. I even tell Tyron because there's certain things he don't like, and I sit here and I talk to him and I explain to him why this needs to be done. Everything is not going to go your way. Everything is not going to be perfect. I said this is part of life, and this is what you have to go through. I said because once you go through it, it makes you better, and you have to sit there and explain it to the kid. Okay, I sit here and explain it to you. Now, there you go. Experience it. Now, once you
right.
experience it, come back. Let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. See, I told you, right? Okay,
Yeah,
cool. It's part of life. Keep living. I had to go through it. Y'all got to go through it. It's part of life to make you stronger. You're going to eventually get to the point where you went through it so much, it's not going to even bother you. I feel like the more you go through it, you don't even care anymore. It doesn't affect you like it once did because you experience it, you know what is going to happen, and you know it's not going to last always. Okay, this is the point, you know what I'm saying? And then once you get older, you know how to deal with people like that. Either you can continue to deal with people like that, or you can walk away from people like that, but you know how that person is. You know the
right.
potential of how that person is going to be because you've been around that. But you go into an environment because you're used to living in your own world and stuff and think people are going to adapt to you all the time. That's not reality. You have to face the truth. So us getting our kids out there and letting them see is going to teach them the truth. Just like when I was growing up, I didn't get to experience that a lot because my mama did shelter us. She wanted to pick and choose what friends we went, hung out with and who we stayed the night with and who came over. I understand not inviting everybody into your house and not letting kids, stay with everybody. But at the same time, you just can't pick and choose your friends, for your children because when you shelter them so much, that's when kids get a little older. Not all kids, but there are a lot of kids. They get a little older and they start acting out or start doing stuff they didn't get the chance to experience when they were younger because the mothers sheltered them, and then that's when they start making more mistakes. They may either get on drugs, start having kids younger, or just choose a life that you didn't see for them, because you didn't let them experience that. My thing is don't always get upset and yell at them because there have been times that I've yelled at my kids, but sit there and talk to them. You got to understand you can't raise all the children the same. They're going to all experience things. Their personalities are all different. Some you can talk to, and some you have to be a little more, hard on. But you just have to let your children experience life. So
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, and I think one of the fears is, you let your kids around some other kids who have some bad character traits, right? And you're
yeah,
like, man, I don't want that to rub off on my kid.
yeah.
I totally understand that, but going back in my own childhood, I remember like there's a lot of stuff that I learned on about how not to be, right?
Hmm.
How not to, what's not acceptable behavior, how not to act by
Yeah.
watching some of them bad kids. You know
Yes.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it would not have stuck it, I think, if I didn't see that. You know what I mean? Firsthand. Like little Johnny over here, he's manipulative and so we put potatoes on like what you get on one hand, you get your parents saying, hey, this is not acceptable, don't do that, and then you got this one over here that does that, and then let that kid see the reaction of other kids around them.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yep.
mean? Because that disapproval from the group,
Hmm.
kid, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think sometimes that has more impact as well. You know what I mean? Like, this is not socially acceptable amongst us children playground. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that kid will be like, okay, yeah, I don't want to be.
Yeah, they got to have the experience for themselves because my thing is always, I think you should always communicate with your kids what you want in life and what you don't want in life. Even when something pops up, bam, go ahead and tell them right away while you thinking about it because it is going to prepare them for life. Just anything you have experienced or something that comes in your mind, let them know. So that way, when they actually get out here and experience, I'm like, oh, okay, this is what they were telling me, they may go ahead and do the opposite of what you told them, but you still planted that seed inside them where they know that you don't agree with it. And
Right.
then they may be in a situation where they got in that situation and then it's getting a little out of hand. And I'm like, dang, I should have listened to my mom, my dad. They told me this and I didn't listen. Now I'm in a situation about to face the consequences. And then they'll understand, okay, let me back out or let me talk to them, before it get far. So you definitely want to have open communication with your kids because they may be in a situation where they're scared to talk to you and they may be actually need you and going through some stuff. But if you make it hard for them to talk to you, they may just go ahead and have to suffer through it because you didn't make it easy for them to talk to you. So I think you should always communicate with your children at all times and let them know the experiences. You don't have to tell them all the experiences you went through, but just share some things with them according to their ages. And I think that could save a lot of trouble and a lot of.
Right. And I'll tell you real quick another little example that I've gone through
Hmm.
where me and my mom have clashed too is when it was time for her to go to college. Okay, and I was hoping that she would pick a college that fit her and her criteria and what she was wanting to study, and that it was somewhere far away. But I'm serious, like, okay, because you know what happened? You know what happened?
What's
She
that?
chose to go to community college, which is fine,
Right,
but she's still living at home with her mom and going to school.
right. You-
Like, child, you totally missed a whole experience here. You could have got. I was really hoping. I was rooting. I was like, this is it.
you were
This
you
is
were ready.
no, no. I mean, this is the opportunity for you to get
Yeah,
out and live on your own, or with some other,
yeah.
peers of your age, whatever, and accomplish, your goals and achieve some things
Hmm.
outside, from out from under your mom's wing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
this is a chance for you to really be an adult. And she didn't take it. And her mom was like, well, I think it'll be better for her to commute out. You know what I mean? And I'm
Uh,
like, oh my God, dude, you could have went to school anywhere in Illinois. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, what?
yeah,
Like just missed another really good opportunity to, for growth. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
All of that.
Yeah, that's kind of hard. It's kind of hard, especially when your child has so much potential and you have a parent keeping them back. And it's like, oh my God, they could go so far, but you are holding them back because of you. You have
Exactly.
so much impact on their choices and what they choose to do in life.
yeah.
it's like, and I think, and you know, I've always talked about thinking big, and you know,
I do.
that's always my thing. Think big, man, because I
Yeah.
feel like there is so much opportunity out here, and I feel like a lot of children are being held back because of maybe the friends they're around, family members in their head, or whatever it is. And I just feel like, man, you could go so far if you just have that push, just push and
Right.
just go out there. But and it's like some kids have the opportunity and they don't take it, versus some kids that wish they had the opportunity and don't have it. But it's just
Right.
it's
Let me
so.
let me let me tell you something, Gina. When I was coming up,
Hmm.
um, I let's see, growing up in Peoria,
Hmm.
right? I wasn't surrounded by a lot of people that went big, went far in my family, right?
Right, right,
I mean, I did have my older brother to look out, to look up to, but
right.
other than that, my mom, well, it's my mother, but but it was people outside of friends and family. You know what I mean? Like I had other role models that were outside of family that did show me a lot of things, and you know what I mean, and opened my eyes and
Yeah,
helped me to see farther. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And like I feel like, man, when you shelter your kids, like I see a lot of them doing, man, it's like there's so many people out here that can offer your child, saying a different viewpoint.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Because they probably lived a whole completely different life. And man, I just think that being around that kind of stuff is good. It's good.
It
It's
is.
good.
It is good. It really is good. It's good to have those different experiences, and when they say it takes a community to raise children, it does. Because not only are they getting the experience from home, but like let them get the experience from other family members, other people in the community, or whatever it is it takes. It's good to have those different experiences. It really is. Just like if a child is playing sports or drama class or art class or whatever it is, you're bringing your creativity, your I don't know, I'm just lost for words today.
I think I
Right.
drug you off.
No,
I drug you off
no, no. I think it's this weather.
subject.
Where's the sun at? No.
Really, really.
Man, it's just I don't know. But again,
But
uh-huh.
yeah, but balanced parenting roles. Yeah, it's not balanced.
Yeah,
I mean, in most cases.
yeah.
In most cases, and I say it because it's. I have one friend. I think I told you this before. I got one friend who is like the unicorn in the whole mix, right? Like
Mhm.
he fought for full custody of his daughter, and he
Right.
got it. He won it. Now this was in another county, but yeah, and him working 12-hour shifts, that factory life.
Mhm.
He made it work, but he also had other family to help.
Yeah.
But that's not something that you generally see, right? Like,
It's not. So let me ask you, because I know you don't have to tell the person's name and all in their business and stuff like that.
yeah,
But when it how do you like, as far as him getting full custody, is it like, was it something on the mother's background history, or the judge actually felt that
no,
he would
no, and that's
uh
the thing. And that's the thing. Yeah, yeah. Mom wasn't, like a drug addict or a bad, parent,
parent?
neglectful or anything
Uh-huh.
like that. She had a reputable career,
Uh-huh.
in medical in the medical field, but he and her had different parenting styles,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Probably different goals, and so he really just thought that his child would be better served, under his tutelage, right,
Mm-hmm.
instead of his mom's. And I imagine they both probably worked the same amount of hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they lived in two different towns. There was nothing that on the outside that I've been told that would lead me to believe that he had more of an advantage. You know what I mean?
Right.
That she had some kind of other issue and couldn't be a decent, responsible mother. But no,
Mm.
He just knew that he wanted to raise his kid a certain way, and it was just different parenting styles. And he fought for that tooth and nail.
So
And he was
I'm
full
sorry, go
custody.
ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I wonder, was the child like a certain age? Well, and sometimes it depends on who the judge is, but I was going to say, I wonder if a child gets a certain age, if they have a say so in who they want to live with.
I vaguely remember. Okay, and I think his child was either right before. I think she was in junior high, right before high school. I think she
Okay.
was probably eighth grade
Mm-hmm.
when he decided that he wanted to take full custody of his kid, um, or it was like her freshman year.
Okay.
It was right there though on that, you know what I mean, that switch there, and I remember him talking to me and saying that yeah he had conversations with her and asked whom she wanted to stay with.
Right.
Yes, because I think that I think that one of the reasons why she had said she wanted to stay with her dad was because I think I remember he said she thought that she could get away with more with
Um,
her dad.
I can, yeah.
Which is probably just yeah, just shoot my whole point here and
Right. No, 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 no. This
no,
is real though.
but she didn't know. But she
Right.
didn't
But
because
she
what she
thought
did
she could.
she
Yeah.
yeah what she didn't account for was that he has a lot of family in the same town that also helps when he's at work and
Right.
can't be there for when she gets off the school bus. So there was a whole village there.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know the mom. I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know other than her profession. You know what I mean.
Got you.
Um, I don't know if she had a lot of family that was around to help raise the kid too,
Hmm.
or if she was introverted or whatnot. But whatever it was, he won. He won the case, and
Okay.
and he got full custody. Now I just always remember thinking, I've never seen anybody, a father, do
Get
this,
full
and
custody.
you know what I mean, and win. I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, with no issues, underlying issues with the mother.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah. Because I was gonna say I do know a father that was married and he ended up getting full custody, but I know they had like a lot of fights throughout their marriage. So I don't know. I don't know like the full extent to it. I'm sure the cops will call a lot of times. So I don't know who fault it was on. Like if the mother did a lot of things and they kind of looked at her history or what it was, or she just said, "Hey, you can have the kids." I don't really know what it was. But yeah, I have seen a father, who
Yeah.
definitely had full custody of it. And I know, yeah, so I know a couple people, but I don't really know the background history of it. But most cases, it does seem like there is neglect or abuse or something that does give the father, because in most cases, you're not going to see the father having full custody unless the mother, just give her rights up. Um, yeah,
And I don't know. I could see where the mother would have the advantage, if the child was a baby, right? Like there's
I can
certain
see that part.
things,
Yeah.
I mean,
Uh
that
huh.
that you need the mother for.
Uh huh.
But when the child gets a little older, this is 2025. We're not talking like the 1950s anymore, where the man is the only one in the household working and the mom
Right.
is always the stay home mom.
Right.
So I figured that should balance things out, right?
You
When the
would
child
believe
gets a
so.
little older, like both parents typically are working a job. And so why wouldn't there be equal, you know what I mean? Unless there're just not a lot of fathers out here that want to take.
Care, yeah, full. And I get that maybe if the kids are staying in a different school zone than what they're usually used to, their friends are there, and they just want to be around their friends. I can understand maybe the mother having, the more of the parenting rights because of that. And I guess that's when they usually give the father, say, hey, they can go on the weekends or, during holidays and summertime and all this stuff like that. So I get that. But I feel like if they are staying in the same school zone, they should definitely look more into that, or look into, if the kids are old enough, kind of include the kids into but kids can make them, oh, I want to stay with this person because they feel like they can get away, with more stuff. So
Right.
I don't know what the judge look at, but I think they should definitely dive into when it comes to equal rights, because it's not fair. And I feel like if you guys do, if it is court order, whatever, and the judge says this and that, Vice versa. Either way, the mother has custody, the father has custody. You can't get mad and keep your kids away from that other person because of you feel a certain way. That's not right. Your disagreements should stay solely between you two, and it should not bring the kids into this situation. Regardless of how you feel. It's like you had mentioned earlier. You felt like, and you know, I've done it too when I was a little younger, or whatever. Calling and checking up on the kids and stuff, and knowing that that other person doesn't do the same thing when you have the kids. I'm not doing that to you, so show me the same respect because that's not fair. And the
Right.
kids are going to remember that when they get older. Yeah, I remember, such and such used to call all the time when I was at, mom or daddy house. And, they
I don't know. Sometimes that's warranted, right? Like there are some, parents that like the father's known to be out partying and
yeah,
drinking and stuff,
no,
I mean,
that's,
with a
yeah,
kid in a back bedroom or something, but I didn't, my situation, I never had a reason for her to,
right.
there was never a reason for her to not trust,
Got you.
you know?
Yeah, yeah, that was just kind of like who she was. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I get it. I get it. So, yeah.
Um, but yeah, long story short though, with my situation, yeah, it's been a struggle. I really do truly feel though that my child would, if I had more control
Hmm.
over her, and didn't have to fight her mom, I think my child would, have gone farther, honestly.
Have you ever?
Than she has, but she's only 19. Her story isn't fully written yet, so
Yeah.
she could have some big turnarounds. But like,
Yeah.
here's one. I was trying to push my child to be in band when she
Hmm.
was younger, not because I thought that she was, wasn't like, oh man, I'm musically talented, and I think my child is musically talented. It wasn't that. It was just, um, these kids need something extracurricular to do.
Hmm.
I just mumbled my words there. Sorry.
No, you're
But yeah, they need something extracurricular to do, right? So she was in band for a few years,
okay.
and then she did basketball for a few years. But then when she decided she wanted to, she had a teacher, a band teacher, that was kind of a butt, and he was hard on the kids, and he was hard on her too. And he came home and basically told her mom, like, I don't like the way my teacher talks to me, but he talked to everybody like, what I mean?
Right.
And so I'm going to quit band. And so she let her quit band. Okay. That's one thing.
Yeah.
But then she wanted to quit basketball too. Now I'm like, okay, listen, you're not going to quit all your extracurricular activities
With some
and
good
not
part.
pick up something else to replace it.
Yeah.
And so I fought hard with her mom. I'm like, listen, she's got to replace that with something else. She's not just going to go to school and then come home for 8, 10 hours a day and be on her phone, be on the computer, whatever, be in a room locked up, like, because that's what we're really fighting against, right? In 2025 is
Yeah.
like their attention on their phones and being secluded in their room,
Yeah.
on the internet,
Yeah.
fighting against that. And I'm like, dude, no, you have to replace that. And her mom thought that that was just the most atrocious idea, that, well, she has too much on her, and
Hmm.
so she doesn't want to do band and she doesn't want to do basketball. She was horrible. So I love my child, but she's not spiritual.
No,
So I was cool with that,
right.
she picked up chess, and she
Okay.
was in the chess club and she was good.
Okay.
I don't know what happened there. After a few years, she dropped that too. But it's just like, my parenting style is like, listen,
Uh-huh.
you got to do something. I don't care what it is. You have to do something. And her mom's like, well, maybe she just is overwhelmed and she has too much going on, and you should just let her. No, no, no. Like, push your kids, man. That's what I'm about. Push.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Because if you do let them quit on everything, that's what they're going to carry through life. They're going to feel like they're going to have in their head when things get rough, you just quit.
Yeah,
And
and,
you
and
can't
listen,
do
what do religious people say? Like, idle hands is the devil's playground or something like that.
something like that. Don't ask me.
Yeah, we got to keep these kids occupied, keep them busy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because yeah, they're in their phone too much, and
They
then
are.
yeah, that's definitely not good.
It's not good mentally. It's not good anything. I'm just in here thinking about when Jalen was younger. I remember he played sports. He's been playing sports ever since he was 4 years old. And until he was a senior or whatever. But I remember when he was in, I think, elementary, and he had did something. I told him he had to quit a sport, so I guess he stopped going to it. And I remember the coach calling me himself, and he was asking why Jalen wasn't at practice. He's like, well, he said Jalen said that he can't do this because he was in trouble and stuff. And he was like, I'm not trying to tell you what to do with your child. He said, but taking your child out of out of the sports doesn't help. He was like, you should find another way to discipline him. He was like, because it teaches them. I don't know what he said at the time, but I was just like, he right. He's right. Don't take fucking, help them and all the activities and stuff. You have to find a different way to discipline your child. Don't cut them out of, football, basketball, baseball, or whatever it is, band, anything. Because he got through me. This when I was in my 20s. Like I said, 20 was definitely like a lesson, everything. I was learning a lot of stuff throughout my 20s and stuff. But he really, yeah, I don't, like I said, I don't remember the exact words, but yeah, he had said something that really like caught my attention. I was like, he's right. And I was like, all right, Jalen, you can go ahead and do it. But you ain't finna do this. Like, we can discipline him other ways, taking phones. You can't hang out with your friends or no TV or something like that. Um, but I think it does make a difference. There was something else I wanted
Now,
to say.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I don't remember what it was, so you're good.
Okay. Well, the other thing I was thinking about, talk about the challenges, uh, parenting roles so my daughter had her first phone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe she was 12, 13, maybe. Um, and we had Verizon at the time. I think they had an app that was called Life 360, right? And I know you're familiar with this.
Oh yeah.
So you go and you could shut everything off on your kid's phone
Yep.
remotely.
Mm-hmm.
So she was with her mom for the majority of the time. Like I said, like I usually when I lived in Bloomington, I had her on Wednesdays, and then I had her on the weekends. Wednesday night, so we would usually like go out to eat or something.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, she was with her mom. Well, she got a bad report card, had like an F or something, and then when I talked to her about it, like she played like, well, I don't really understand how I got it, and I'm like, this is the end of the semester. And I know how the school does. Like, you get grade. They do the trimester thing. They do like midway through. They get like you get updates. You know how well or not you're doing in class. And she just was playing like she didn't see this coming, but she did. So she had a failing grade. Well, she also had her new phone. So I'm like, yeah, I'm cutting off your internet and I'm cutting off, texting to all your friends. So now the only people that you can call or text is me or your mom. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how it's going to be for like a month. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that is your punishment. And I thought it was decent punishment because she was at the time also on her phone a lot.
Right.
This was when she first got the phone. And, there may be a connection or not, but that was also when she got that first step. And I'm like, yeah, this isn't. So I did it. I shut the phone off. Her mother called me. I mean, my daughter called me too. Dad, please.
Right.
Her mother called me, and her mother cussed me out. Said it was wrong for me to do that. And I'm like, what? Excuse? She's like, yeah, you turn her phone on right now, or I'll just go out and buy her another phone. I'm like, are you serious right now? What? And then I was like, well, maybe she's letting her phone raise her or something. You know what I mean? Like her phone is the babysitter.
Right.
No, I didn't know what was going on in the household at that time, but I
Right.
was like, are you serious? So this is a real challenge. I can't even discipline my kid remotely.
Well,
You
right.
know what I mean?
Right.
Like, hold on, I pay this phone bill. And I told her that she can't have, the internet and be texting her friends and stuff for a while. So deal with that, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
that's
her mom was fighting
right.
against that.
Yeah, that's not right because if it was the other way around and she disciplined her and you told her the opposite of what her mom told her, she would have a problem with it. So that's not right. And that just kind of goes to, the different, parenting roles. Like when it comes to one parent telling the child one thing and then the other parent, like, no, you can go ahead and do this after you told them no. Because I dealt with that. And I'm like, I told him no.
Right.
Well, he didn't tell me that. Okay, well, I'm telling you now. But you still let the child do that? Now irritates me because I, you know what I'm saying, I've been through that. Like I told them, no, the child go back and do it anyways. And I, like, why you still doing this? Well, let me talk to the other person. I'm like, okay, well, I told them he couldn't do that. Well, he didn't tell me,
Right.
okay, well, now that you know, let's go ahead and resolve this. Well, ain't no well nothing. So I just feel like, yeah, I feel like when you have to respect that other person's, wishes and whatever discipline they give that child. And, I tell them one thing and you go back and tell them something else. They going to feel like, oh, and that's how my kids were. I just tell them a lot of stuff. And they didn't want to sit here and listen. So they run to their daddy house because he wouldn't make them do it. But they'll do it like this at my house. Seriously? Okay.
Right. Right.
So,
Right.
that can cause a lot, not just, okay, I told the child something, he not listening, but you not even sticking up for what I'm doing. But when it's a problem on the other, if it's the other way around, it's like, I don't want to hear, but now I got to be the bigger person. So it's a lot.
Yeah. 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 I know for me, it was always like, oh, I can have an input, I can have a say in it,
Mm-hmm.
and she'll take it under consideration.
Hmm.
That's what it was.
Oh,
And like, well, I just okay, you just take it under consideration. That's it. You know what
oh
I mean?
man. Like it has to be approved and stamped.
Yeah, yeah. I hated it. So now it's like, and so back to it. Like, what does that mean for my child? Well, I mean, I feel like she hasn't gone as far and as hard as she could have, and in some ways, I feel like that's a failure on my part, but it's just the constant fighting
Right.
with her mom and what her mom thinks, you know what I mean? And then at the end of the day, she's, under her roof for most of the time. So
Yeah.
it's a losing battle for me.
Yeah.
My friend I was telling you about that got custody of his, he had told me many times, he's like, man, you should just fight for full custody. But I was always like, well, yeah, but the difference is I don't have
Let me ask you this real
the
quick.
support.
Let me ask you this. Do you feel like you ever had to bow down just to get your way? Like, you wanted something done, but the other parent was going to do it, so you feel like you had to kind of bow down to the other parent's way for it to get done, even though that was like against what you really believed, or you didn't want to go that way, but you feel like, oh, I have to really give in.
Mm, ugh. I don't like the wording about it, but yeah, compromise, yeah.
I'm not. I don't even like. I can't even say compromise because compromise. Yeah, I mean, you can use. Yeah, sure. Go ahead and use it. If it makes
That's
you
as
feel
far
better.
that's as
Yeah.
far, that is as far as I'll go with it.
Yeah. No, I feel you. I feel you. But do
I
you
feel
feel
like
like?
I had to
Yeah.
compromise. Yeah, I mean, and the results weren't there.
Yeah.
Still, you know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
like, listen, we can do this the way I think we should do it, or we do it the complete other way that you think we should do it. She won't do it my way. So yeah, it's like, well, what other choice is there? Let's try your way, and then the results are trash.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's
it's
not
like,
cool.
well,
That's not
you know
cool.
what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
well, that's totally your fault. No, no, you're done. No.
Right. That's not right because I feel like there have been times, when I was younger. I ain't gonna say now because like I don't look at it that way. I'm like I have, and that may be another thing that changed me. I think I have boys, and I'm like one day they're gonna have kids, and I don't want these females to treat my boys, and hopefully they're married, but things happen, and they might get married and get a divorce or whatever. I don't speak that on them, but it happens, and I'm just like I don't want these girls or women or whatever to treat my kids the way that I have seen other women treat, their kids, fathers and stuff. I want them to have equal rights. I want to be able to see the child, the grandchild, as much as the other side of the family. I don't want them like, oh, have to feel like they have to decide between mom and dad. I want them to know that you have both parents and we both equally love you and we're here for you. And there's going to be some disagreements. There's going to be some things that we don't want from each other, but I just want them to know that. So I think that sometimes I'm starting to see life the way it is because I was one of those nagging females that always complained and wanted things my way. And, oh, these are my kids, or I'm there now. I'm not going to let you see them because I don't like something you did. And that's not fair. I was that person and I'm no longer that person. It takes a lot of healing and growth and going through the storm and just seeing things. And sometimes you got to have that reality check. You got to have that reality check because when you don't, people are continue to do this. People in their 40s and 50s, still acting the same way, still got drama and toxic. You like, yeah, you too old to be acting like this. But age don't have nothing to do with it. It's just your experience and healing. A lot of people are hurt. A lot of people are not healed. They still living in the past. And you like, this done happened 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. Why is you still bringing up old stuff? Like, you have to heal and you have to move on. People got grown kids, got grandkids, and they still dealing with the same stuff. And you be like, why have you not healed? So
Yeah, and unfortunately, that stuff pushes onto the next generation.
it does. It does. A lot of people just really need to heal, especially in the Black community. A lot of people don't believe in counseling. Counseling is definitely good. It was more like, what happens in this house, stay in this house. And that's fine. But at the same time, you do need to heal. You need somebody to talk to, because we
Hmm.
hold a lot of things in, and that affects the way we treat our children, because we pass down a lot of stuff that we are unhealed for, and we think it's okay, and it's not. So,
Man, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something really quick.
okay.
Talk about discipline, okay? And I don't know where this fits in the balanced parenting role,
No,
but
go ahead.
differences, right?
Hmm.
When I was growing up, when my dad wasn't in the picture,
Hmm.
and I think probably around the time where my mother thought that me and my brother were too old to get spankings,
Hmm.
maybe, I don't know. She didn't spank us a lot, but boy, she had a mouth, man, to this day. And she has a mouth on her. And I remember looking back now, I'm like, I would have rather, I probably told you this before, but I would have rather, now looking back at it, I would have rather just gotten my butt whooped,
Ah, didn't hear her.
really good, one good time, than hear everything, all the nastiness that would come out of her mouth, right?
Right.
So, okay, that was my growing up. So now, and then I look, so my uncle, he's a pastor.
Hmm.
My aunt and uncle were a couple big role models for me when I was coming up. Like they were one of the few lights, in the darkness for me, right?
Right.
And I watched them raise their three boys. And my uncle, he was strict, you know what I mean? And their household, you got to understand, like it was different
Hmm.
because they didn't holler and yell, and the boys was like, yes ma'am, no ma'am, you
Hmm.
know what I mean? When one of them called for their child to come here, they didn't say what from the other room.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
they said, when you hollered for your child to come here because you need him for something,
Yeah.
like they just came.
Yeah.
And when they did screw up, there wasn't no, we're gonna holler at you, I'm gonna berate you, I'm gonna cuss you out, all that. No, there was none of that. There
Right.
was like, you're either getting something taken away or you're getting a whooping. You know what I'm saying? And then,
Right.
and you can go to bed with no. I don't know. Maybe you go to bed with no dinner. I don't know. I don't know. But that's when I was like, oh man. And then looking at them today, like all three of them boys, man, they're all successful. They all are well balanced,
Yeah.
rounded individuals.
Yeah.
And so I remembered that. So raising my daughter, I was always like, listen, because her mom used to like to run her mouth and say certain things like, and I'm just like, dude, no, don't do that. What are you doing? Like, just listen. If she messed up, correct or whatever. Take something from her or spank her. You know what I mean? I know a
Right.
lot of people don't believe in that these days, but I'm like this. I'm gonna correct you right now, real swiftly. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or nothing. But I'm not gonna sit here and just just cuss you out, be mad at you. And that's another thing too. Like
Hmm.
that's a parent that's got some issues that isn't healed, right?
Yeah.
That's going through some things because how are you going to be here mad? You're mad, and that's what's showing through
Yeah.
because you keep on talking them crazy. You know what I mean, and cussing them out and stuff, and berating them
Yeah.
and putting them down. All that is just anger. That's
It
frustration.
is.
That's something coming from somewhere else
It
inside of
is.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I say all that to say, when I was raising my daughter, like, yeah, I was my ex wife didn't like to spank her at all, and I'm like, boy, I'll grab this little fly swatter or whatever it is, and I'm gonna get them legs. You know what I
You
mean?
know
I'm
what
gonna
I
get them.
had? I had switches.
And she'll be all right. She'll be just. You know what I mean?
Right, right, right,
Fine, but then that led to a fight between me and the ex-wife. Now now we
right.
gotta now what was small is something huge. But
Yeah. Yeah, that's I think it is. I think it is anger and stuff and just and I was just thinking about how you said how your mom yelled and at you guys, and then versus seeing your aunt and your uncle and how they raised their children. And I think that's what it was for us. Like my mom, of course, my dad was locked up, and then my mom raising, being single, raising 5 kids or whatever. I felt like she didn't talk to us. She didn't talk to us at all. Like me, I try to talk to my kids. There have been times I had to put my hands on them, but that was like in my 20s and stuff. But like now, I have learned to just talk to them. I talk to them more. Um, and I feel like my mom never talked to us. She always just whooped us instead of talking to us. And it was like, why? It was never, why did you do this? Because some of the stuff could have been misunderstanding. And I think communication is big when you're dealing with your kids, because you never talk to us, and all you do every time we turn around, she going around the corner getting a switch off the tree. That was a Mississippi in her too. I don't know how people do it up north or whatever. But she was always going somewhere getting all these switches and stuff. And we see the switch and who broke my switch? Because we was breaking them switches.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it was
yeah.
like, yeah, but it was like we was always getting whooped. It was never no talking to. We always getting whooped or popped in the mouth or whatever like that. She never talked to us. And that's because the way she was raised or whatever else she went through. And my mama, she's a really private person, and she don't tell you a lot of stuff, so you're not going to know what she went through as a child if somebody else didn't tell you. I don't know. I understand. I don't know much about my mom's past. I don't. She don't tell us anything. She always changed the subject. So
Oh wow.
yeah, she always changes subject, so we don't know much about anything she's been through or what happened. She'll just talk about a little bit, or she'll talk about her other sisters and brothers, but she don't share a lot of her story. But I think she is really unhealed, and a lot of that unhealedness has, rubbed off on us, and now we are like the victims of her, for being
Mm-hmm.
unhealed. That's why I think counseling is very important. So I just think her upbringing, when I started having kids, I kind of started disciplining them in a way that I was taught. And then I had to just being around other people. I feel like you don't always have to whip and spank your kids. You can talk to these children. There's, you
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's definitely if you are whooping them,
right.
uh, you gotta talk to them
Yeah, you do. You do. But my
because
mama didn't talk to us. She
that
just whooped
goes
us.
hand in hand.
Yeah.
No, you have to. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You definitely have to explain that and quickly. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you do.
Like, okay, I just whooped you, or maybe you need to whoop and put them to bed for a little while. But as soon as they get up, you
Yeah.
gotta explain, what's going on and why you did that.
No,
Yeah.
I remember one time we were asleep and my mama woke us up by whooping us. Oh, you know how pissed off I was? I think I was like 7 or 8. And she went good until we was asleep. How?
Ah,
Oh my God. How do you wake a person up beating them while they sleep? Oh, that was child abuse. That was child abuse. These
she said,
kids.
she said, "Oh yeah, I forgot about what y'all did earlier. Now I remember. Now we gonna."
Oh my God, that is so messed up. I'm telling you, you do that stuff nowadays, DCFS is on you. Like these kids don't know how good they have it, because the way we was raised, boy, it was some torture. Oh, child, but it
look,
made us
look,
stronger.
look, let me tell you, my mom, she had married this man for about 8 years when we was kids, and
Yeah.
I remember he used to be like, we mess up in the store or something, and he'd be like, you're getting a whooping, right? You want that whooping now, or you want it when you get home?
Woo.
Man, let me tell you, the psychological, oh, that was horrible. Be like, well, as always, when you get home, and then you're hoping they
They
forget.
forgot. Yep.
That probably what happened to your mom.
Yep. Hoping she
She,
forgot. She.
you thought she forgot. She didn't forget.
Oh, let me tell you, she's trying to be so slick. I got to the point where I started figuring her out. She was so slick one day, right? I owe you. I don't owe me no whooping. Just get it over with. I owe you a whooping. I hate that. Don't just owe me it. So one day she in the house, she in the living room because she used to put her switches behind the couch because we peeped her hiding spot. So then she go over there acting like she looking for something. She act like she gonna grab that switch real quick. No, have you ever ever been in a situation where she's whooping somebody else and you think she finna whoop you too because you know she owe you one, but she forgot about it, but you don't know that, so you run into?
But she in the rhythm though. She in the mood right now. So she gonna just handle
Oh
you
Lord!
too. Yeah.
Oh man, everybody finna get it. Oh, it was just, oh God, I'm telling you. And
Yeah.
I think that's why I was so ready to grow up and get my own. I think we spoil these kids so much, they just be in the house. You be like, ugh, what can I do to get them out?
Well, here, let me propose this, and this is totally off subject, but
Yeah.
with y'all, whatever, explain it. And I don't know if it's your mom, but I've heard this before, and I'd like to explore this. Right? Um, I don't know if it's is it a lack of intelligence or is it a lack of maybe emotional intelligence? Do we even call it a lack of intelligence or something else? Maybe you're just not good at speaking. But I think that some parents, that when you talk about abuse or just whooping the kid or just, just bad upbringing, right?
Hmm.
Like, is that tied to a lack of some kind of intelligence, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like if you can't speak,
Hmm.
if you can't explain to me, you know, why am I getting my butt whooped? Or explain to me what I did wrong. I see this sometimes. Like a parent they won't even say a whole full sentence to you.
Hmm.
They see you do something wrong and they just, you just get your ass whooped. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and like, hold on, you ain't gonna explain, you ain't gonna talk to them first or
Hmm.
anything like, is that, is that just a
Probably learned behavior.
learned behavior? Okay.
I think
Okay.
that's a lot of it. And I've seen where they say they don't even explain to you until they'll just tell you, you know why I'm whooping you. But I think a lot of
Oh, I hate that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I think a lot of it is learned behavior because the what they seen and the person didn't explain to them, so they just know to just whoop, you know, or
Right.
whatever, But I think it is learned
Maybe.
behavior, and I think people need to unlearn that behavior. We got to reprogram ourselves the way we think.
Okay.
Otherwise, we're going to fall into the same category. Because I know my kids tell me a lot of stuff, and I have to sit and think. I'm like, all right, I know I be tripping sometimes. I do, but it's like, all right, I'm upset. Get away from me. But I do tell them, not in the mood to play and leave me alone. Told you, I am not in the mood. This is not the right time. Catch me later. I am not in the mood right now. So, but I think definitely people have to program their minds, their way of thinking, or what they were taught, because it can lead to a lot of sorries and apologies and all that stuff. And a lot of things could be avoided if we just do things the right way. But that comes with learning because everybody doesn't know the right way. Everybody right way is different. And even the things we're talking about, people are going to there are going to be people that agree and people that disagree. Everybody going to have their opinions about everything. But yeah, yeah, I don't know. Did you go further away?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, I can somewhat hear you, but I can tell you moved away.
Well, I got here, but I figured where I was
No, you're good. But yeah, actually, yeah, my thing is about to get ready and in like 3 or 4 minutes.
at.
But
Okay.
thank you for coming on. I really, really
Uh,
appreciate it. You
it
need
was
to
my
get
debut.
yeah, yeah.
I hope I
I
did
know,
well.
right? It is. It is. I'm gonna definitely have to have you on again. There's so much that needs to be talked about that people need to hear. So I'll definitely have to have you on again. I just thank
Okay.
you because, like I said,
That'd be my pleasure.
no, I appreciate it. I know you work third shift, and I know you need to get some more sleep. So, but I appreciate it. I think thank you for giving your opinion and and your experiences of what you had went through as a father. Dealing with the other parent. No, I really appreciate it. But yeah,
Thank you.
so everybody, this was Anthony. Thank Anthony for coming on, and I definitely look forward to hearing from you soon. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
all right, you take care.